collection version, you can only catch those 150 new ones, which is part of why I hated that generation. Generation 3 was my least favorite of all Pokemon, and it was because it just completely cut you off from the ones you love and know, and they were forced to catch the new ones, and there was no way of getting the old ones until later on the other versions came out. It was quite frustrating until Fire Red and Leaf Green came out. You couldn't do anything, so it was pretty frustrating, but it is still an amazing game. The online features is pretty awesome. Nice shades, by the way.
Yeah, thank you.
The online features are pretty awesome. The fact that you can play and fight and trade on the go, where just by the press of one button, it is amazing. It is fucking great. It is the closest thing you're ever gonna get to a Pokemon MMO. And it is a great game. I am going over it again. I am currently in my 6th batch, if I'm not mistaken, and it's a good game. It is definitely for you guys. If you haven't, go play X and Y first. If not, if you already did play X and Y, check out Pokemon Alpha 5, Alpha Sapphire, and it's Omega Ruby, and it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I'm totally with you on that. I actually did not like Gen 3 at all.
Yeah.
In fact, I played it way later, way after Gen 3 came out. I went back and played it, and I'm like, this isn't very good.
No.
I don't know why people played this. So I didn't actually pick up Omega Ruby or Alpha Sapphire, but from the people I know who did pick it up, it's a huge improvement.
Yeah, it is.
So I should probably take a look at it at some point.
Yep. It is. It is an improvement to the originals, of course. Yeah. It is. It's just still you are left with this itch that it just couldn't be. It could have been better.
Yeah, I agree. So what have I been playing recently? I just finished Life is Strange. Episode 5 actually just came out 2 days ago or so. So Life is Strange is sort of a interactive movie type of game, kind of like a Telltale game, or well, I guess Telltale's been mostly the one who's been really kind of pushing it lately. But in Life is Strange, you play a teenage sort of hipster girl in Oregon.
Oh, if it's from Oregon, yeah.
Of course.
Crazy shit like this happen over there every day in Oregon.
And she finds out that she has the power to basically rewind time and also jump between dimensions. So it involves a lot of chaos theory and a lot of the aspects sort of around that. But the thing I really like about the game is it's super immersive to get into. The story's great. All the characters are fantastic. I felt like I got really, really attached to a lot of the characters throughout the 5 episodes. And it's also a really, really solid length for the cost. The game costs about $20. And if you play through and look at everything and take your time and sort of enjoy the story, it's probably about like 14 or 15 hours.
It's not bad at all. For $20, that's pretty good.
Which is really good. I used to think that Telltale, as a person who's played literally every Telltale game that has come out, except for the new Minecraft one, because I haven't played it yet.
Yeah.
As a person who's played literally every single Telltale game, I thought I absolutely loved Telltale and nobody could do it better. And then I played Life is Strange, and it just
really?
way over my head, blew me out of the water, blew my mind. Did not expect it to be nearly as good as it was. And it completely raised the standards of what I expect in that type of game.
So Life is Strange, in your opinion, is higher up than those Telltale games?
Than a lot of the Telltale games, yeah.
Okay.
And that says a lot for me.
Okay, no,
that
definitely says a lot.
So, if you haven't played Life is Strange, you can go pick up the first episode for like a couple bucks, and then you can upgrade to download the full season if you like it. The episode 5, the last episode, literally just came out, so you can marathon through the whole thing if you want, which I know somebody who just did actually for about 11 or 12 hours, just playing through it quickly.
Wow.
If you wanted to do that. But yeah, the story is really good, characters are great, cannot praise this game enough, actually.
Nice.
So, that's Life is Strange. I think we can move on to our variety hour, unless you have anything else you want to chat about real quick.
Nope, that's basically it.
Cool. So we're moving on to new shit. We don't have a lot of questions today. We weren't really submitted a lot, but we're going to try and talk about a couple things.
Yeah, we weren't scheduled for today. It's kind of like a change. We had to do it last minute, but we do have things to talk about.
So, first thing we wanted to talk about, we had discussed this on an earlier episode, but it was before we started doing Pixelgon Live, which is sort of like a revitalization of the show. Try
Yeah.
and try and make it a little bit more interesting, a little bit different than just doing a audio podcast and uploading it somewhere and crossing our fingers. See if we can make a little
Yeah.
bit more of a personality out of it. So we wanted to go ahead and discuss the arcade experience a little bit. So I was definitely a huge mall rat as a kid. So I was one of
Yeah.
those kids you saw just wandering through the mall back and forth like on an off day, and then I'd go to the arcade for like 3 hours and leave. So I don't know. Did you spend a lot of time in the arcades when you were growing up? Was
I
that an
did.
experience for you?
Yeah, in I used to live in Puerto Rico, of course. But yeah, arcades were a thing. Not anymore, recently, but they were definitely a big thing in Puerto Rico, and we had most of the arcades that we know and love from right now. And yeah, no, I fucking love arcades. I mean, they're so much fun, and it's basically a video game party constantly. As long as you have quarters, the party doesn't stop.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree. I used to play in a ticket arcade um, called Aladdin's Castle in our mall. And it was just this little tiny ticket arcade that had a couple of the cool actual machines as well. But you could go in and play those. But I was a ticket collecting fiend.
You,
I
you really needed that freaking plastic ring.
like I would
You just
collect them
couldn't
and
live without
I
that.
collect stacks of tickets and get like a Chinese finger trap and then go home with the rest of
I
them.
had one of those.
You had to get
yeah.
a Chinese finger trap every time, or a bouncy ball, or like a little, yeah.
The
Some of the
most
stupidest things, yeah.
What's the most obscure thing you ever won in a ticket center?
I won a Godzilla toy, which made noises and the eyes lit up and stuff.
That is not even obscure.
No.
What I won one time at those ticket arcades, those freaking Chinese balls that you use in your hands to release
Oh,
stress.
the little rolling.
The
I know what you're talking
rolling
about.
balls and stuff. It's like I got that, and I was like, I don't know what, 12 years old, and I got in the car, and my
Yeah.
mom just looked at me and was like, "Why
Why
the
did you
hell
get
did you
this?"
take that?" I'm like, "I don't know. They look cool. They
Why
like
the hell did you take that?
Chinese."
Because I already got 10 spider rings. Pew, 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 pew.
Ew, it's hilarious. But yeah, there's some obscure things you can win in those ticket
Yeah.
centers. It's pretty awesome. It's great.
I used to save up for stuff, and I think I got speakers once, like little tiny speakers. But I would also go and when I started working, my first job was actually bussing tables at a restaurant across from our mall. And then when I got off work or when I was waiting to work, I would go to the arcade across the street and then go back to my job basically when I needed to.
Yeah.
So I would go over there and play the Soul Calibur 2 table.
Oh yes.
So Soul Calibur 2, well, I guess cabinet more than table, but the cabinet for Soul Calibur 2 was fucking awesome. And I think they utilized this in a lot of different fighting games afterwards. But it had this mode where basically you could create your own fighter and level up stats based on how well you did fighting through 10 fights, which got progressively harder. And then you could like put all your stats in strength, so you did more damage for the next fight, or in agility, so it was easier for you to dodge and that type of stuff. And then you could, at the end of that, choose to challenge a god character, which is somebody else's character that made it and beat the default character. Then they got their character in as the god character.
Yeah.
And if you beat it, your character became that god if it was the same character. And
That's
if
awesome.
you didn't beat it, you could choose to power up that god. But basically what you could do is you could power up or weaken that god throughout if you were different characters until you could get your character into that spot. So that was really cool. And that's in some of the newer Soul Calibur. But it also had this other mode, which is sort of like a... it was sort of like a country takeover type of mode, or like a map takeover. So there were different sections of the map that were different colors for 4 different teams, and then you could make a character and join a team looking at the map and choose a spot on that map and start fighting spots that were next to you to try and take out other teams that had taken them, and then take over the entire map for your team.
Well, it's pretty complicated for arcades.
Yeah,
Box.
so you'd go in, you'd pop in 50 cents, choose your character, choose which spot you wanted to start at, and then just start fighting from spot to spot down the line until you knocked out an entire team or whatever. But what would happen sometimes is people would sit there for like an hour and a half grinding away at this, and then they'd leave, and when they come back, somebody else had already come back and grinded an hour and a half back the other way. So you're doing all these shoving matches back and forth to try and take over this map. It's just really fun.
No, that sounds fun. That also kind of reminds me of there was this Japanese arcade cabinet called it's from a very famous anime. I think it was it's a racing game. I can't remember the name exactly.
Initial D?
Initial D. There we go.
Yeah, there we go.
And Initial D basically had that concept where like when you put the quarter on, they would also print out this kind of like driver's license, where every time you go play, you would insert that driver's license, and it would bring out all your scores, your stats, all the modifications you've done to your car. And I remember being really big. And the ironic part about that cabinet is that there was actually never a US version. It was brought, at least in Puerto Rico, I don't know over here in the States, but in Puerto Rico, it was brought from Japanese because it was so popular that every arcade needed to have it because it was took their arcades by storm. And it was just mainly that, what you described with Soul Calibur, the fact that it just, you could have your own score. You can keep progressing through that. And it was pretty awesome.
Yeah, I remember Initial D definitely mixed the RPG / drift racing genres, which is kind of weird when you think about it, but there's a ton of Initial D releases. There's a ton of Initial D cabinets. One of the ones that we have here in Seattle, actually, at it's not at another castle, but it's at the one downtown.
Okay.
But anyway, the arcade
and the arcade museum.
Yeah, the arcade machine has a free
museum.
It has like a free floating sort of pod that you get into, and then when you turn in the game, it rotates the pod the way you're turning.
Oh wow.
So it actually feels like you're driving and moving and drifting through the turns as you're going.
That's fucking amazing.
And it's really cool.
That's amazing.
I wasn't really a huge fan of the Initial D series as far as like the arcade machines because I'm not a big driving game guy. But that is really fun.
Yep, it was a great game, and arcades always have fantastic games. My personal favorite has always been the Jurassic Park shoot 'em up game.
Yeah, I remember those.
Fun as hell. I would go and just spend. I wouldn't spend that much. I would finish it in nothing. It was just, it was great. It was awesome. It's perfect. It was awesome.
Yeah. Did you ever play any of the beat 'em ups at the arcade?
I did. I have fond memories of the X-Men game.
Oh my God, X-Men! Yes.
Yeah, it was so good. I love the fact that it had obscure X-Men's like Colossus.
Colossus?
X-Men that nobody knew who the fuck they were if they did not read the comics at the time, of course. But that game included them, and I fucking love that.
Colossus. So the best thing to do was have all your friends play, and then you purposefully choose Colossus because he had a taunt that was really loud and obnoxious, and you could spam it.
Yep. I remember.
And then there's a really good joke / meme from that game where Magneto is telling you, like he's talking to you, and he's like, "Welcome to die."
Localization at
some really bad localization. Yeah, it's fucking great. I played the Simpsons one recently. The Simpsons beat 'em up.
Yeah. Also,
I remember that being good. It's not that good.
Really?
Yeah, I don't think it holds up at all.
Oh wow.
The problem with I must have wasted like $100 on that as a kid, in total. Had to have, because I would just keep popping.
That was a game that when you saw it, you needed to play it.
Yeah,
it was fantastic. I love the Simpsons arcade game. I haven't gone back to play it though. So
if you go back and play it,
how well it's had hold up, but it was pretty awesome.
I would suggest that you do some exercises for arthritis or something first, because your hand will cramp the fuck up from mashing those buttons so much. It is one of the worst button masher arcade games I've ever played. I've also played Turtles in Time recently. That one's really good. The Turtles arcade is also really good, the original one. And those are super super fun beat 'em